And since then, they've kept an incredibly low profile, as they vowed to. If you excuse the massive book deals, the Silicon Valley startups, the preaching videos about well-being, the podcasts, the speeches, and the major network interviews with everyone from Oprah Winfrey to James Corden. But they've barely been seen or heard at all, have they? Well, on Thursday, they'll quietly and apologetically release their $100 million documentary series on Netflix. I mean, nothing says protecting your family like doing a reality TV, fly-on-the-wall documentary about every aspect of your family life for the delectation of the entire planet. Does it, Harry? Well, a braying pack of paparazzi photographers jostling for space to hound the happy couple. That's what we just saw, right? Childhood photographs clearly intended to evoke the tragic death of his mother, Diana. Okay. Those photographers we just saw weren't actually interested in Prince Harry at all. They were at the premiere of a Harry Potter movie 5 years before Harry even met Meghan. There weren't any royals there at all.
Are you serious?
This apparently sneaky paparazzo lurking above the Sussexes was actually invited there to cover their meeting with Archbishop Tutu in Cape Town. Another photo used in the promotions shows Harry's outstretched hand apparently shielding the couple from photographers. Only it's actually a cropped photo of Harry with ex-girlfriend Chelsea Davy, taken in 2007. And a press scrum shown dashing after the unhappy couple was actually chasing after reality TV star, one of their compatriots now, Katie Price, at Crawley Magistrates Court. Ironically, for a couple who've repeatedly sued newspapers for intrusion and inaccuracy, they've just put a load of whoppers into their trailers. That's before we even get to the main event.
When the stakes are this high, doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us?
Oh, shut up. What do you mean the stakes are this high? Who do you think you are? Other than a latte-munching imbecile living in luxury in California while the rest of the world's a cost of living crisis, moaning and whining about an institution which gave you the titles on which you now trade millions of dollars. What are you talking about? What stakes are there other than the massive, gigantic stake you're currently plunging into our monarchy over here? And as for telling their story, sorry, have I missed something? I thought you've been telling your truth, which is often a pack of lies, from the moment you abandoned this country. Well, today's new trailer doubles down on the last trailer, and there's more tears. Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention. Remember that clip of Meghan once showing us how she could cry like that at the drop of a little tarnished tiara? Remember that? She could do it like that. Just bear that in mind when you watch it. Did you get that one? And as for the shameful comparisons with Princess Diana, I remember Prince Harry being very, very angry about the media exploiting his mother for commercial gain. Yeah, what has he done with this Netflix series? He's used his mother to sell it. Could there be a more grotesque exploitation or a more hypocritical one than him using his dead mother's imagery to engender sympathy for himself again as the great victim in this world? I find it all puke-making. And I speak as someone who's actually in one of these things. I pop up. Yeah, me.
What?
And to my astonishment, I was being very nice about Meghan Markle. Let's have a listen. The truth, if it hit you around the back of your head. This gruesome twosome only survived by cashing in on what's left of their royal status now. I said it before, I'll say it again tonight. King Charles should strip them of all their remaining titles and cast them out from any connection to the royal family. How could any of them trust them as far as I could throw them? Because without it, they're just whining millennial windbags with a permanent victim complex, knowing that victimhood is what makes them all the money. The irony is earth-shattering, isn't it? Harry and Meghan and the Duke and Duchess, wait for it, of gaslighting themselves. The entire show is a cynical attempt to manipulate viewers into questioning their own recollections of reality. And if we learned anything at all from the first 3 hours of this $100 million wine-a-thon, it's surely that this dismal duo wouldn't know the truth if it smacked them around their smug chops. Let's look at their truth versus the actual truth. Meghan moans that royal advisors forced her to uninvite her dear niece, Ashley, from the wedding, the only member of her family that she seemed to be still talking to.
How do we explain that this half-sister isn't invited to the wedding, but that the half-sister's daughter is. And so, wait for it, with Ashley, the guidance at the time was to not have her come to our wedding.
Yeah, that was a lie. Impeccably placed royal sources told the Sunday Times no such guidance was ever given. And that was supposed to be the show's big example of how Meghan really cares very deeply about her family. So deeply that only one member of that family was at the wedding, her mother. Not even her favourite little niece, Ashley. Meghan also sees she got no advice on royal protocol, forcing her to learn how to be a princess all on her own.
Joining this family, I knew that there was a protocol for how things were done. There's no class in some person who goes sit like this, cross your legs like this, use this fork, don't do this, curtsy then, wear this kind of hat. Doesn't happen.
Another lie. And by the way, Meghan, if you don't like me calling you a liar, just sue me and we'll go through all this in court. The Sunday Times discovered she was actually handed a 30-point dossier, studiously researched, brimming with information and contacts. Meghan later simpers that she never wore bright colours to show respect, because she's all about respect.
So I was like, well, what's a color that they'll probably never wear? Camel, beige, white. So I wore a lot of muted tones, but it also was so I could just blend in. Like, I'm not trying to stand out here.
No, the last thing Meghan Markle would ever want to do is stand out. But it's all another lie. Photos taken by the evil, bigoted British press show her wearing pretty much every colour in the rainbow. The show opens with the claim that the royal family declined to comment on the series. That's another lie. The palace says it received one email from an unknown company, an attempt.
It also says that Harry thinks that his kids deserve similar normal experiences growing up as his mother, Princess Diana, provided him, but Meghan is reluctant. One more real bombshell source quote here. Harry feels as if they are living in a bubble. He's beginning to think he had more freedom as a kid growing up in a palace. Of course, while Harry, like Meghan, will always prioritise their kids' safety, he's worried Archie and Lilibet are missing out too. Well, Lady Colin Campbell, of course, we have been reporting on the strains in the marriage before.
Stop it.
Or anyone in the mainstream media. However, fascinating details here from Radar Online, and I have to give Radar Online credit because they have been brave on this story where many of their contemporaries in America have not been.
Yes, well, it's interesting, but you notice, Dan, how wide a net they cast, and some of it is actually quite accurate. For instance, the fact that had those children been brought up in Britain and living within the royal folk, Windsor is very protected, and Windsor has a lot of acreage, a hell of a lot more than Montecito. Sandringham, Balmoral, these, even the palaces in London, they are rather large complexes, except of course for Clarence House, which is a relatively small house. But the king lives in Clarence House. But the rest of the palaces are pretty large complexes. And
Stop it.
And they would have been having a suite of rooms in one of the palaces. So they would have benefited from the freedom that being ring-fenced by the royal protection squad would have provided them with. And it is when Harry goes on about, on the one hand, about how free California is, it's not free. First of all, you have to drive everywhere. Secondly, you're in a gated community and you really don't have that much contact with your neighbors. And if you,
That doesn't make sense.
you break it down, the children are very isolated, and they would inevitably be isolated in a way that had they been within the royal fold here, they would not have been isolated. Because, for instance, in Kensington Palace, you know, it's a vast complex. I'm sure you know it's a vast complex, but the public might not know. Where you have some pretty grand apartments, but you have lots of little cottages and smaller apartments. And it's a village. It's a true village. And it's a village that's shut off from everywhere else. So there is a freedom there. And of course, if they are at Sandringham or Balmoral, they're on thousands of acres of protected property. So quite how, on the one hand, Harry and could feel that the children would benefit from a freer upbringing in California than they'd have here. It's again, it's a sign of, I'm sorry, insanity.
And what leads to that insanity? The mind boggles. You've had lots of impeccable sources on this. Do you think Radar Online's description as an estranged couple living under the same roof is broadly accurate?
I think it's certainly accurate some of the time. I don't know that it's accurate all of the time, but I think it is accurate some of the time. Harry and Meghan's relationship it follows a classical mold for particular personality types, and it's occasional ecstasy and lots of agony. And Meghan is notorious for having given all her men a tremendous